Hi everyone. I know it's been a long time since I've made a video, but I thought that it might be valuable for me to just kind of like it sort of bring us into this week on a more personal note and in a little bit more of a personal way. I want to just kind of well set a bit of a precedent for this week. You might recall on the syllabus one of the texts that I had everybody procure for this class is Lucy by Jamaica Kincaid. And one of the great things about this novel, first of all, it's a novel that has been used uh, with with and for this course in the past. So this is something that it wasn't my idea to include this novel, but when it was suggested, I thought, my gosh, this is very ideal because it draws together a lot of different themes um, that this particular chapter, chapter 10 in Solomon and Higgins, the big questions, addresses, which has to do with culture, race, colonialism, and nationality and sexuality. All of those themes really converge in Jamaica Kincaid's Lucy, so it's very ideal. Maybe perhaps a bit of a caution. There are some scenes in it that are a little bit lurid, but don't let those distract you from the very important motifs that are extremely meaningful in this novel. I just wanted to kind of read a little bit of an excerpt, something that I found very poignant in it. And so there's a lot of discussion about the colonizer and the colonized, the dominant culture that has been kind of like an imperial oppressor, and then the dominated or subjugated culture, which has kind of had to kind of bend to sometimes the whim of the economically dominant and culturally dominant power. So Lucy is interacting with a woman named Mariah here, and in this particular scene, which is from it's the chapter called Mariah. I'm not sure exactly whether it's chapter 2 or 3, but one of the lines that jumps out at me is this one. It was quite a nice thing to sit on the sand under a tree, seeking refuge from the hot sun, and eat a perfectly fried fish as you took in the view of the beautiful blue sea, former home of the thing you were eating. So I think that's very striking because you're consuming this animal, this fish, and while you're kind of admiring the place where it came from, right? You're devouring something. You are feeding off of something at on pain of its death. It is paying all of the consequences for your pleasure, even as you enjoy the former home of the thing that you're eating. It's a really brilliant image of the way that certain dominating cultures have um, have have abused other societies, and then sort of enjoyed the abuse, but all the while not realizing how intensely they've been abusing that culture. And so, and later on, towards the end of the chapter, watch for this phrase a lot. Um, how does one get to be that way? How do you get to be that way, such that you kind of enjoy the terrible fruits of your oppression, right? How do you? So Mariah says. So Mariah, the woman who is Lucy is befriending, and who is kind of the mother that Lucy is working for. Mariah says, "Oh, I have Indian blood in me." She mentions this is interesting because there's this controversy related to Elizabeth Warren recently. But Mariah says, "I have Indian blood in me, and underneath everything, I could swear she says it is. She says it as if she were announcing her possession as a trophy, right? It's this American woman named Mariah, kind of saying, "I have Indian blood in me," right? As if it's some kind of trophy. How do you get to be the sort of victor who can claim to be the vanquished also, right? It seems like this perverse twist. Um, anyway, yeah, I just think it's really remarkable. The novel helped me to think very deeply, especially about kind of my own predicament. I mean, I can't call it a predicament. It's really interesting when I reflect on my own kind of situatedness, as some of you noticed. I mean, on this white male, cisgender, heterosexual Christian, right? So it's when we think about the idea of privilege and colonization, I kind of represent every form of privilege that is around in our society, and I think that especially novels like this, they help to draw my attention to that, and then help me to look for ways to confront that, right, to offset that. I feel as though I felt very strongly about this for quite a while. I feel as though we kind of have a moral obligation to reconsider, to look at our situatedness, to look at our privilege, especially when somebody like me is every kind of privilege, and then to confront that, to recognize the biases that are situated with this kind of privilege, and to deal with those, and then try to yeah, try to offset them. So, anyway, I really appreciated Lucy, and I hope you enjoy it as well. I hope you find a lot of meaning in it. So the discussion for this week has you kind of interpreting Lucy, trying to form or trying to notice any connection between Lucy and the material in philosophy of race and culture and sexuality. There's a lot in there, so there's plenty for you to work from. There's many different ways for you to go with this discussion item. Speaking of discussion items, now I haven't uploaded grades for discussions there. I'm a fairly lenient grader for that, but I will go ahead and upload the discussion grades soon. Certainly, probably by the end of the week. I wouldn't worry too much about the results there. I think basically just really my only criterion in looking at the discussions is, have you responded to the prompts, and just but most especially, is it clear that you were thinking deeply, hopefully, about the topic, right? And as long as I see that you're thinking about it, that's really what I'm mostly concerned about. Philosophy is the love of wisdom, and so if I can see in your responses to Lucy and elsewhere that you are somebody who is seeking after wisdom, and thinking about these items, then I'm happy. It does my heart good, right? That's my whole goal with all these posts and with all these pages and with all this content. My goal is for you to learn some of the key terms and learn about some of these philosophers and these people who have thought before us, but then also for you to exercise that art of thinking philosophically and thinking compassionately about many of these items. All right. And let me also say, I really hope that you have been enjoying this course, and I've really been enjoying facilitating it. I don't necessarily see myself as a teacher. I see myself a little bit more as kind of like a coach or a guide or something like that. I think I feel like I'm more like a yeah, more like a coach than simply a lecturer. I think lecturing is a little bit dull. So yeah, it's more. I'd rather have more interaction. I'd rather things be much more personal, especially with a philosophy course, because the essence of philosophy is really dialogue. It's conversation. It's discussing things so that we can then approach progressively and constructively some kind of deeper understanding of these themes. Anyway, so sorry to ramble about that, but I've deeply appreciated this course and overseeing it with you, and I've appreciated your responses to the items that I've put up. I hope you continue to do so as we look forward to the culmination. I will do those quizzes. I have not done them yet, but I will do them. Consider the quizzes as a kind of practice for in preparation for the final paper. Which oh, I think I still need to no. Let me make sure that the rubric is up for the second paper. If it's not, I will put it up straight away. All right. Thanks again to all of you for your insights and for your contributions. And once again, I hope you're enjoying the class. Please email me if you have any questions or concerns, and I'll get back to you ASAP. I hope you all had a Thanksgiving too, by the way. Take care.